You're listening to Oilers Nation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Your screen is blank. I don't know what I'm talking about, Tyler.
Get my teleprompter on. Welcome into Oilers Nation Radio, episode 72. The teleprompter is up, Nation down.
It's brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant. Visit them at Sherwood Ford on Twitter, at Sherwood Ford _the Giant on Instagram, and you can give them a phone call at 587-860-1538. And as always, if you see Jay driving around in the #Nation truck, please snap a picture of him. Tell us how dirty the truck is, and he'll tell you about how great his $3 wash is.
That's don't worry, we're gonna snap a video of that, and I'm gonna show you that you can do it.
So there's a nice little admin reveal for us that Jay is joining us on the podcast, but we have as well my co-host Tyler Yaremchuk.
Nicholas Goods here. Zach Laing's here.
Hello.
We're down. We had to go down to the American Hockey League ourselves with Baggedmilk and Rick out of it.
We did.
Not that that's a slight. I like having Jay on because he's very passionate and he spits fire takes.
Well, I was about to fuel up the Winnebago to go pick up Benson and Legason to make sure to try to get him in for puck drop tonight, but
We didn't charter the Nation plane for them. That was selfish of us.
it's a paper plane, so it doesn't do so well on the passenger load.
So we all just, as we were talking, you heard some beers cracking. Everybody enjoying this week's beer so far?
Always. How can you not enjoy a cold one on a Friday?
There you
With
go.
an Oilers game? Hello.
I've got extreme envy. Because I had to host the Finns for 9 days, and they're just amazing wild animals. I am dry until next Friday, so
Detox.
I am watching this, salivating, wishing I could taste this delicious lager.
See, I'm getting warmed up for the game tonight. I'm going to my first Oilers game at Rogers Place, and I am gonna get hammered.
Zach, you're a big fan of today's beer. Can you describe it without telling the fans what we're drinking so they can try and guess it?
It is crisp. It tastes like the ocean. It's got a nice little hop undertaste to it. It is from a brewery.
What color is it?
Yeah, what color is the beer?
Is it?
You
Is
have
it-
to tell us
what color is the beer?
what color it is.
It's a yellow beer.
It's a yellow beer.
Ooh, okay. All right.
It's from a BC based brewery.
Whoa, that
West
narrows
Coast
it down.
based.
There's
Yes.
like at least 300 of those.
because I'm
Hammer
not
it down.
drinking.
Well, we can't give it away.
I know.
Because I'm not drinking, I sniffed the beer.
Okay.
I get an element of definitely it's an IPA, correct? Definitely,
no.
I can smell the hoppiness.
Nope.
Actually.
It's a
It's
lager.
not?
It's not.
It is a hobby. It's a hobby lager.
There is. I'm gonna go a little bit deep on this. There's like a Cascade hop smell, so like a Citra hop
this-
smell
they
to
got
that.
the
Are you
Citra in
pulling
there
that
for
flavor?
sure. I'm pulling that.
All right.
Well, that's why it's described as a West Coast lager, because that's what gives it the West Coast in the lager name.
And what's the East Coast?
East Coast is usually a little bit cloudier, juicier. So if you ever have something like an East Coast IPA or a New England IPA, it's gonna be something. It's not gonna be quite as hoppy,
Fair, yeah.
but it's gonna be like cloudier,
Gotcha.
and it's more sessionable. They say so, a little bit lower in alcohol.
Okay, fair. We are doing some research because we're going to be relaunching Nation Beer. But we're very excited.
Insider info.
Insider
info here.
That is a peek
Hello.
behind the curtain. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
well,
That's a big
well,
release.
Dropping a little bomb. It's been a passion project to bring it back, but talking to one of the breweries that I will not mention yet, that'll be part of the surprise. But they want to do like cask nights with us.
Yeah.
And that way we can get fucking weird.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're like, we can literally do anything with a cask. Like literally, we had a beef broth vanilla stout. I'm like,
Oh, I'm here for it.
You got to be careful with casks though, because they're usually like room temperature.
whatever. Well, but
Just
it's
some
just-
people
but
are a
it's
little
like, it's
against
like a
that,
fun
though.
thing, right?
It's
Like get a bunch of people in a room and try something.
So is there going to be like a beer launch party there, Jay?
Well, this is like something that's going to bolt onto the beer thing. We are going to have a beer launch party when that's all
Awesome.
said and done. So
Awesome.
stay tuned for that. That's going to be exciting. Nation Beer, the crushable lager will be the catchphrase. But going back to the casks, I was like, you can do anything with a cask. I'm like, could you do a Don't Air Stout? They're like,
Oh.
yeah. So stay tuned.
Wow.
Nation Beer is
Wait,
back.
would there be a hint of lettuce
We are
or not in
back.
that Don't Air Stout?
No lettuce.
Excellent question. We are in Edmonton. It is going to be riddled with lettuce flavors.
Hell
It's
yeah.
a monstrosity. We're moving on. It's so it was a big week for the Oilers. After having 2 months off, we returned to hockey action. Nice little Battle of Alberta. What did you guys think of the game, Tyler?
That first period was one of the best first periods of hockey I have seen in my young life. Like, just being there in person, man, the crowd was on playoff level. That crowd. Just take the Oilers play completely out of it. I didn't even care because
holy shit, I wanted to jump in hot here.
Because the Nugent Hopkins fight was exciting. The crowd chanting Turtle was exciting. The eventual Kassian Kachuk fight was exciting. You were literally, to use the cliche, on the edge of your seat the entire time. It was so much fucking fun, man. That's what these should be about. That's what these rivalries should be. You just had a great time. And the Oilers were down 1-0. I did not care one bit because I was thoroughly entertained.
That's what it should be all about, right? Going to Rogers Place shouldn't necessarily be about the result. Of course, you want to see the Oilers win, but having fun at the game maybe in a turtle costume, Jay?
Yeah, well, to jump on Tyler's comments, I was a little bit upset with how the team performed in the first. They're a little flat, but I will remove.
Coming out of a 2-month break, that'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. I won't get too deep on that. But once again, I sound like I'm preaching, but I'm dry. Not drinking at a hockey game for me is a very difficult thing to do. But the entertainment level was so high, I didn't even realize that I wasn't drinking because I was riding an emotional high. The vibe in there was unreal. The chants were good, and segueing into turtle costumes, I had to play. I was one of the 5 Kachuk turtles in the full costume with the big head.
One of our 5 because there was a ton of turtle costumes, correct?
Yeah, but we were one of a kind.
Absolutely.
I like to think that
100%.
But we were these giant turtle mascots. But holy shit! So doing that sober was even impressive. But as a guy who was sweating his bag off, dying, that game made me forget how I was feeling. I think I lost 4 pounds in sweat that night. But the turtle costume thing was great. We showed up. We had our Free Oilers Nation Instagram sign. Hopefully Instagram's listening. We took so many photos. People loved it.
That was the first time Wanye's been out in public for years.
Wanye actually, on a nation initiative. That's the first. Yeah. So you have to put a giant turtle head on him. But that was good. The people at Crash hooked us up, set us all up with a hotel room to get ready in, and we just kind of waltzed in, and it was just pandemonia. We had so much fun being giant turtles. I
have to give credit to the fans because it came through on the TV. It felt like a playoff atmosphere.
Oh yeah.
I was sad to be at home to be able to do all the hockey fights there. Speaking of hockey fights, we had probably the most unsuspecting pairing, I would think. If you had to write it down, even if we had a draft of the entire roster, I don't think you would have picked Nuge and Monahan. Monahan with his first career fight, Nuge with his third career fight. You can check those out at hockeyfights.com. But Zach, what did you think of the pugilism between the two younger guys?
I mean, how many people would have put Nuge and Monahan as the first fight of that game? I think nobody. But it was an absolute heat of the moment sort of thing, and I think it's great to see. Nuge is one of those guys who loves to step up when he needs to, and that's the thing that I love about him, and that's why we need to keep Nuge forever.
So Tyler's bringing up previous Nugent Hopkins fights. He fought Vinny Hinestroza.
Yeah, I don't remember this one at all, but if 70% of the vote, I think he's won every fight
I was at this game. I was at this game with Larvin and Anufe Bodine.
Nuge
this happened right in front of me.
Nuge is one of those guys that when he gets mad, look out.
You can actually chuck him.
And his dodge on Monahan was really, really good too.
You know what I loved?
The best of him.
You know what I loved about the Monahan fight too was how they kind of came together. They couldn't quite square up, and then they stepped back from each other and just went right back in it.
It was a classic fight, right, Dan? And
absolutely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. It was 2 guys squared up. Like you said, Nuge had a nice little dodge in there. Monahan definitely looked out of his element. He wasn't ready to go necessarily in the sense that I don't think he was ready for Nugent Hopkins' aggression there, which is fine, whatever that happens.
And Hamuse.
But so we did confirm that Nuge did get voted to lose one fight.
Oh, here we go. An older
they said he lost his fight to Dan Hamuse, his first career NHL fight. And there's also one fight in his WHL career. He fought Lucas Suter.
Now, to be fair, Nuge is a legend in Red Deer. I remember when I went to the Memorial Cup and covered it in Red Deer, there was more Nugent Hopkins jerseys there than anybody else in that entire building. It was crazy.
Well, as there should be. Nuge has the fire. I talk about the fire a lot. Nuge, Nuge won't back down. You engage, he's there. Dan Hamuse, that's a guy who's bigger, older, old man strength. veteran, knows probably what he's doing in that situation. He didn't fucking back down. And also, the thing I like about Nuge, like there's so many reasons to love the Nuge, but he is a complete player because he'll go and do that.
Yeah.
Stand up for himself. And, he's quietly like a little bit of like a prick assassin on the ice with his stick. He's not a rat, but like he gets it in areas surgically.
Yeah.
To piss off the other guys.
He knows what he's doing out there.
He knows what he's doing. Like, and so that's a guy who's out there who's trying to compete. And that, like, he showed up on the biggest stage. Fan anticipation for like physicality was at its highest, and he fucking delivered.
Well, I was going to say that too. Like, I think it was a quote unquote important kind of thing because it lit the powder keg, and it took that period from, like you said, like a bad Oilers period into an emotional kind of period where it was fine that we walked out of there down by a goal. Yeah, you're chasing the game a little bit, but they lit that fire, and then Kassian and Tkachuk right afterwards.
That yeah, exactly. Like that was like the turning point for me, where I'm just like, when that first goal goes in, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. But that turned him like, okay, we're actually in this game, and I have no concern that we're going to lose the game. Now, granted, we lost in a shootout, so that's not a loss in my books.
Thanks to 2 goalposts.
Yeah, fuck. And the arrogant bat flip. There's 2 people. Now the next 2 people on the Battle of Alberta hit list. Rasmus Anderson. Is that Rasmus?
Yeah.
He needs to get whacked.
I completely forgot about him until about the middle of the second period.
He needs. Well, I'm not forgetting what he said, he's a loser.
Yep.
And then Rittich for the bat flip after the post saved him twice.
I just wish that I hope, and I think that now that we see Koskinen starting tonight, that Smith is going tomorrow. I really, really hope for a goalie fight.
Rittich versus
that would be the absolute finisher for this Battle of Alberta. Not a finisher, but like a great crescendo to then an Oilers win. But yeah, back to Kassian and Tkachuk. Nick, what did you think of that, Tilly?
I mean, I wonder if it would have happened if Nuge and Monahan don't fight.
Oh yeah.
It would have happened.
It would have happened.
I don't know. I think they would have pushed it to Saturday because from what they said, what Tkachuk said is that Kassian, he thinks, was kind of feeling it after, because at first when Tkachuk wanted to go, Kassian said, no, we'll wait.
Yeah.
But then after Nuge and Monahan go, I think Cass started feeling it a little bit in his blood. Yeah. And he's like, okay, now let's fucking go.
Yeah, because they lined up earlier on, like halfway through the period there.
Yeah.
Or halfway through to the point that they actually fought.
Yeah.
And you could see that they had an exchange. Tkachuk looked like he asked him to go, and Kassian said no.
But the one thing I want to say, you guys are the ones talk about this fighting stuff. But they kept saying like Tkachuk, now he's getting credit because he went out of his weight class or whatever. And I was just looking it up.
The same weight class.
They're 1 inch apart and like 10 pounds apart.
And you could argue it's 10 pounds.
I will say that when you say that he went out of his weight class, I guess it's like, it would be like a nobody fighting a trophy fighter.
No, don't get me wrong. Obviously, like 10 pounds in boxing or UFC is like literally a weight class.
But it's like you watch a Tkachuk fight versus a Kassian fight, any other guy, it's not the same kind of level of fighting.
He's
skill,
more of a
right?
trained fighter.
Yeah, Kassian can fight. Kassian has experience.
So now,
don't kid yourself. Tkachuk knows how to fight.
I'm not excusing Tkachuk.
He's Keith Kachuk's kid. You don't think he's not going to raise a
who would win in a Matthew Tkachuk Brady Tkachuk fight?
Brady for sure. Brady fought 2 days before Matthew.
Oh, he did?
Actually, yeah.
I see the rage in Brady's face.
Brady has like he's more of the Kassian type of player when he comes to shit disturbing. He still shit disturbs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I know Senators fans that were commenting on the Hockey Fights fight said like they're a little tired of his kind of shit disturbing rat mentality.
But at least they are.
Yeah. Oh. But at least he does.
Sens
fight.
fans are.
At least that's what they say. That's what they're identifying.
It's very political.
Yeah, fair enough. But and who knows? Maybe it's Eugene himself. I mean, who knows? But
that burner account, Jack Maxwell. We've talked about it on the podcast before. He was fucking back at it full on.
He's deleted some of the tweets.
Yeah, he's gone back, but he got mad at one fan and said, another hashtag fake Sens fan at it again, making excuses for being too cheap to buy ticks. That's okay. Me and all the real fans will enjoy the great prospects at the CTC while you sit at home sad and miserable. Now sit down, pal. You got hashtag pwned.
I love the one thing I love.
So good.
The one thing I
what?
Pwned.
PWNED.
my God, that is unreal. I know that's big.
My favorite part is how he calls it the CTC.
Yeah.
Like, like making it like trying to make the Canadian Tire Center be like MSG or like the Staples Center.
He's trying to make fetch happen.
Down at the CTC, like, okay, man.
My favorite tweet of all time is when he sent a message out to Sens fans before like the last game of the regular season last year. They're like a gazillion points out of the playoffs. And he goes, "Come on, fans, let's show this team we love them by getting down to the CTC and buying some merchandise." And I was like, holy fuck.
I just like when he invites.
And I'm definitely not Eugene Melnick.
Yeah, he may as well have said that.
The ultimate, how do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah.
He invites the fans
That's
to
great.
come hang out with him at Bert's place. So Eugene must own a part of Bert's place as well. But anyways, back to the Battle of Alberta. So we got through the fighting. The Oilers had a great couple of comebacks there. They just weren't able to finish it off. But
Matt Benning.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Benning
Looked
comes
like
back.
Eric Carlson out there.
Back from the dead.
Unreal.
God, that got me jacked.
I know you're.
I bet you just blacked out.
Pwned. I was pwned.
Yes.
Bet you just blacked out when that goal was going on. I don't even know if he knew what he was doing.
Oh, it was great.
Now, Dan, because we have the very fancy teleprompter in front of us, we're about to get into the Giordano knee.
I was just going to bring it up.
Because there's just a push that came through on the Score app that Brad Treleving has had a comment.
This, yeah.
And he says, any talk that there's a malicious intent on the Gio hit is complete garbage.
Okay, like you're the GM of the team and you can say that, but you're pretending you're kidding yourself if you don't know the guy's history at this point. You can run down the videos. He's been suspended for it in the last year or two. Like
he does that.
That's comical.
He might have not gotten him with the knee, but and I wouldn't even call it a knee. It's clipping, and that's something Giordano.
It was an attempt.
It was
an attempt at a knee.
Yeah,
and then he thought better of it.
And that's something that Giordano's become known for. I don't think it should have been a suspension on that play.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, it's not like he actually did get him with the knee, but I honestly think that should have been interference or something.
Yeah, it should have been something.
Or a phone call and telling him to, hey man, fucking stop.
So everything happened so fast. If that wasn't Connor McDavid in that moment, the other guy is probably taking it on the knee, and it might not be knee on knee. Like he led with the knee, but then you saw him like try to reel it in. And if Connor McDavid isn't in permanent matrix mode like he is, and that's his bad knee too, right? Like I guess he doesn't have a bad knee now, but like that's
fucking Giordano doing it. I think that's what got fired.
He navigated well. It wasn't exactly right. So I don't think it's suspendable, but yeah, you're right. It's worth a phone call because he did lead with that intention, but then kind of pulled away from it.
So George is like, my suspension worked.
Well, it's you can see that he thought about it because if he was Brian Marchment, he would have just
it's true.
Dug in further with the knee and led further with it. So it's Connor McDavid too, right? So it's delicate and that's on its bad side. So like as an Oilers fan, you're like, holy fuck, like
don't you dare touch him.
Don't you dare touch him. But also like I can see. Like it happened so fast, and then he led with it, malicious, pulled out of it because he thought twice about it. Connor just sexually danced around it, and move on.
I don't think there's anything wrong though with saying that just because it's Connor. Because I think that the NHL needs to be better at protecting their stars.
100%.
Well,
I'm saying because it's Connor, there was no contact.
But I think that should be everybody's opinion on that play, not just Oilers fans. Anybody who watches hockey and wants to see skill prevail over like dirty shit like that, that should be their opinion.
Yeah.
And like, this Bush League blogger tried to write about earlier this week, but it's like that's the kind of stuff the NHL needs to get rid of. Yep. It's not about like, the Kassian thing, you don't need guys randomly punching somebody in the head but what led up to that, that's the kind of bullshit that they need to do a better job of eradicating.
I agree.
Kind of like, okay, you deem that the Tkachuk hit legal, well then stop deeming those hits legal. Because 5 years ago, that wasn't a legal hit. That was a blindside illegal hit, right? Right after Crosby had his concussion back in, 2012. So more than 5 years ago. But and now you have Giordano, whether it's him, whether it's, I don't know, Anderson or whoever else on the Calgary blue line, throwing out knees at anybody on the Oilers forwards, but especially their stars. That's the kind of shit that can't be allowed. That's the kind of stuff that Peros has to be like, no, you're getting suspended for a game for that.
Like that's only a suspension. So say it wasn't Connor and that was someone else who doesn't navigate it like Connor.
Someone who's slower. What if it's Sam Gagner?
And there is that contact, and then there was an injury.
Right.
then Giordano suspended.
Right.
So I agree. The act needs to be removed.
Because the NHL
a player
has-
can't think they can do that.
Absolutely. That's a perfect way to put it. Very articulate, right? Like the idea that if I even attempt to do this, I'm going to be punished for it needs to be in their heads. Because it's not, obviously.
This is a discussion that we're going to continue, but I just have to give a shout out to our other sponsor of this podcast, Skip the Dishes. And that's skipthedishes.ca. Yes. Delicious food. You're sitting there right now listening to us talk. You don't want to have to download. Tyler's literally on the app right now ordering food.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I found out today that Taco Bell is now on Skip the Dishes.
The only place that matters on Skip the Dishes is the sponsor of my pregame podcast, the Egg Burger.
Oodle Noodle. Oh.
And Oodle Noodle. And Oodle Noodle, who's also a sponsor of podcasts here.
I'll tell you one thing about Oodle Noodle, and not to toot our own horn, but we are on average. Normally, our average skip score is highest of all chains in Edmonton as an aggregate chain. Because we pride ourselves on Skip the Dishes, and we want to make sure. Because if you do good, they do good for you. So I love Skip the Dishes.
There you go. Skipthedishes.ca. Download the app on your Google phone, your iPhone, or any other kind of phone. Maybe you make your own.
Or your rotary phone.
You know, if you have a rotary phone.
What about your Nokia 5190 that has Snake?
Wow, weird flex, but
Get it.
download it there.
That's a reverse flex.
I don't even know what that means.
You never played
No,
Snake?
No. I
didn't have a cell phone
my
before
first cell phone
smartphones.
my first cell phone was a flip phone.
Nice.
No. This old Nokia was not a flip phone.
Oh, it
it was
just
like
a
this
standard
blue
brick.
brick
Yeah.
with like a gray screen outline.
Yeah.
And the only game on it was Snake. And man, that game could take hours away from your day.
Oh, it was just great. I worked at a warehouse job at the time, and in between deliveries.
My dad still does play that game. That's his phone.
The OG Angry Birds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, remember when Flappy Birds was around for a hot minute?
Yeah.
Holy
No, I
shit!
don't
But
know
now you
Flappy
go.
Birds.
You don't know about Flappy Birds?
I know Angry Birds.
Nintendo
Flappy
took that
Bird.
down?
Flappy Birds was around for like 4 months, and then like the guy who invented it like stopped it.
Oh, it was that one where you had to like,
you gotta
there was
go
a
through,
side scroller
and you had to go through
I
like
thought he
the
got
2
s-
pipes.
I think the guy got sued. I think somebody
from
sued
Mario.
him. Yeah.
It was like a Mario thing.
he was a guy from Vietnam. He
Yeah, yeah,
made
yeah.
a fucking $1 billion in like 4 months and had to shut it down. But if you go to like those like video game places, some of them have it on a big screen.
Oh, nice.
I think you can play it at like the rec room.
Yeah, that's
He was trying to say that without saying it, but you're welcome, Rec Room. You owe us money now.
As Tyler would say,
7 cents.
we'll fix it in post.
I'm not fixing that. I'm okay with it.
Back to the Battle of Alberta. So the game.
No free ads, Tyler.
We went to overtime. Was that not the craziest overtime we've ever seen, Jay?
Oh man.
Oh God, that had this turtle's heart rate wherever its heart is just racing.
I was literally having palpitations at home. Like it was awkward. My hands were sweaty. There was spaghetti on my hoodie.
There's
Oh no.
Mom's spaghetti.
Oh, no. No.
We should have scored.
Yeah,
We had so many good chances.
They
We
also should have scored. To be fair, Smith
But nah.
Smith bailed out us a couple times.
He did. But fuck, we should have.
Leon had to bear down and score.
He's getting two-handed in the hand though at the same
Yeah.
time.
That's
but
been
that
the
Connor
recent-
pass that came across the crease was just money.
But we didn't have Connor and Leon together.
Yeah, which was interesting. But I guess that shows that like the Yamamoto project is working.
I like it personally. I know we talked about it in the office the other day about just let him go. Like I think Zach, you were just like let the horses run.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like it. It lets you kind of deploy them. I think a big reason why we don't have a great overtime record this year is because we kind of put those guys out there after they've played 20 minutes in regulation, and now I know they're elite athletes, but they're skating a lot to start overtime. They lose a possession, and then that's kind of it. They don't really get the puck back.
I wouldn't mind if they kind of staggered it where, Dry and Yamamoto go out and then Yam's out for 30 seconds,
Right.
40, and then Connor comes in and then Nuge
Dry goes,
and then just a little bit
I like
of layering,
that.
so
I like
we have
that.
a little bit of exposure there.
I feel like if there had been a stoppage, which there wasn't,
That's true.
and that has to be the first time that's ever happened with the Oilers game.
that's why it was stressful.
Straight 5 minutes. But I feel like if there was a stoppage, that we may have seen them come out for like the last minute or something.
See, now
that's what I hope.
I'm in the mindset that you run your horses, you go McDavid, Draisaitl, you let them go because you know what they can do. And the emergence of Yamamoto to me says put him with Nugent Hopkins.
And
No, but
is that
Have
a
a
strong
good
enough
second
counterpunch? Like,
I think so.
like you're going in as a fighter who can just throw rights to now to a fighter who can throw left and right.
But you know that the ability for McDavid and Draisaitl to score is higher than that of the other two, right?
Fair.
And I mean, Nugent Hopkins is a sound defensive player in the NHL. He knows what to do. Yamamoto had that big stop two in overtime where he got his stick down to deflect that one puck away that surely went in.
God, he's just a responsible little bugger out
he
there.
is, right?
Yeah,
so that's why I'm kind of in that mindset of go with the 2-2 and then just back and forth the whole time.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair. One thing I forgot to mention about the turtle costumes that was one of the highlights was we went down on the flame side during warm up and just laid ourselves plastered ourselves against the glass and just started waving at all the flames. All their reactions was fucking priceless. Lucic literally stared at us for like 3 minutes, just shaking his head and laughing at the same time. And everyone it was amazing how much attention of the flames that we got.
That's the good shit. That's the stuff that the Vegas
good.
do well of the world. The Carolina Hurricanes have fun with. That kind of shit is good stuff.
Yeah.
The one last thing about the Battle of Alberta that I just wanted to touch on was the now infamous bat flip by Mr. David Rittich, Mr. One Save in the Shootout.
Yeah, one
David
save,
Rittich.
Dave.
He
That's a good one.
That is really
No
good.
save, Dave should be his real name. But
so Connor and who was the first? Nuge come in and they ring it off the post after beating the goalie. And then he gets a nice, a nice enough poke check play. There's some debate as to whether Leon actually got a shot off, so whether Dave even made another
disrupted
save.
it.
the post check, the poke check killed.
Fair
him,
enough. But then he does the bat flip. What do we think of that, Tyler?
If Mike Smith would have done that, we would have loved it. But hey, it's rivalries, and a Calgary Flame did it, so I fucking hate it.
Yeah. So like he didn't do anything to deserve to do it, but in terms of like keeping the BoA going and keeping us hot, like yes, like it worked. So now it's like let's go fucking run him. And that's what I want. Battle of Alberta.
I want
Mike Smith
Draisaitl to
fight.
fire one home and just stare at him for the celebration. Just eye him right up.
Well, no, he's got to throw his stick.
I don't know if you can do that in the middle of this
fuck.
game.
Why not?
That'd be so good.
Why not?
Just toss it up in the crowd.
Yeah.
For
some reason I feel like you get a penalty for that.
Yeah. But I wanted to
Drop it in front of him. Just kind of toss it towards.
Oh, see,
Riddick.
and that'd be good if Draisaitl backdoor tosses one home and then just lays the stick down in the crease and skates to the bench.
I would go and say here, give him a stick like a souvenir. Like here, you should pretend sign it and give it to him.
Yeah.
Try to piss off Rittich, see if he'll throw the stick at you and take a penalty.
I think my frustrating part of it was that it's not the bat flip. It's not the bat flip. That bat flip will forever live on in infamy as like a moment where Canada just stood up and
Oh,
accelerated.
you're talking about Batista?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But it is in the sense of comparison.
Yeah,
right?
I think it was
I'm not
cool.
saying it's the MLB playoffs and blah, blah, but it's like he thought he did something fan-fucking-tastic that it was worthy to like throw his sticks. He's so hot shit.
Well, I don't know. Hold on. Keep in mind, Rittich is Czech. Like, he might not even fucking know who, I was going to say Dave Bautista, who Jose Bautista is.
Everything is right.
Everybody knows who Dave
I'm just
Bautista
saying,
is.
we're saying that it's compared to the bat flip just because it's a similar.
Well,
But I'm just saying, but when what I'm saying is when he did it, like maybe he wasn't even conscious that like
No.
I'm doing. He's just
No, he did it just to be cool and arrogant.
I'll say this: I really don't care. Like whatever. I've already kind of forgot about it. Rittich had a great game. Whether the shootout,
he made a lot of saves.
the shootout. Say what you want. I mean, the goalie will tell you, well, that's all the space he gave them. That's why they hit the
Yeah,
post.
of course.
But during regulation, like you look at the numbers. You read the morning report afterwards. Like the Oilers like dominated that game 5-on-5.
We should have won. Yeah, no,
We played a
he
good
was the
game.
big reason. He
Yeah.
kept him in it. I'll respect it.
I did think that I thought the Oilers were going to score late in the game there.
Yeah.
But he held them in it. So I give him credit for that.
And we didn't even talk about it. Like 3 power plays in the third period, and we don't convert on any of them. Like that's kind of the game
The
there
math
too.
says that we should get one there.
Yeah.
And that's really that's the part I'm most sour about with that game. Their power play they had a chance to win it if their power play would have come through, and it really let them down in that hockey
I
game.
mean, we were 1 for 4, so 25%
Nah, man,
still
you
not
can't
bad.
get- you
I know.
can't get
I agree
3 in
though.
the third, though.
I agree. Completely agree.
I'm going off script a little bit here, but does the fact that we play Calgary again tomorrow, do you think that affects the players tonight against the St. Louis Blues?
No. Defending Stanley Cup champions, they want to prove something.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah.
Mikko Koskinen getting his first start.
I like it.
3
They need
months.
to play him
2 weeks.
more.
What's that?
It's his first start in a month. They need to play more.
Yeah,
I think
I've
he
got
will.
concerns about that because it's been so long, but we'll see.
He played great against St. Louis last time, though. He stopped 42 of 44 last time they played the Blues, so I'm optimistic.
Cool.
He's one of those goalies that plays well on rest. So
Yeah. Next item here.
yeah,
Zach
the next
Kassian.
item. So yeah, right before the game, news broke that Zach Kassian was going to be signing a big deal, and the numbers came out. So it's 4 years at $3.2 million per. We're going to go around the horn here, and we'll hear everybody's thoughts. We had a little bit of a glimpse into Nick's thoughts, but go ahead, Nick.
Now, my heavy sigh is not to do with the contract. My heavy sigh is to do with within 10 seconds of this news breaking, Oilers fans are already losing their shit. Oh, Zach Laing.
We'll go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
That you're outing Zach Laing.
No.
And that's just it. It's like, guys, like, I don't know. Everyone else go around and we'll talk a little bit. That's just the thing that's like, give it a fucking day.
Zach, your thoughts?
It's probably 1 year too long, but I think it's okay. Like I think the number's good. 3.2 isn't a lot of money. I think it comes in as a okay contract. Like it could have been worse. And that's the thing that is probably the best thing with it, is that it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Here's the things that are important, I think, to keep in mind. He was making 1.95, so he's getting like a 60% raise.
Yep.
$100 million, which, like, you could argue that could be fair, right?
Yep.
Maybe he deserved a raise. I think people wanted to see, like, I think Baggedmilk could talk about it. Having a 2 in front of it would have been where people would have been comfortable.
Yeah, that's what Baggedmilk had said. Yeah.
But now with 4 years, maybe a couple years too long, no trade clauses though.
Yep.
You can expose him to the expansion draft. Maybe Seattle wants a little bit of grit. I mean, Vegas took Ryan Reeves, right?
Yep.
Like maybe he's a guy that looks enticing to Seattle to have a little bit of.
He's a vet.
Yeah,
too,
like,
right?
and I've said it before. At some point, you have to not have constant turnover on this team. I know the whole thing is people are like, well, McDavid left money on the table so we could sign cheaper guys and use the extra money to bring in really, really good players. How do we know that McDavid wasn't the one who kind of signed off on this and said, fuck yeah, give the guy $3.5 million or $3.2 million? We don't know. We don't know the machinations that go behind that.
No.
So.
Fair point. Tyler?
If you guys look in front of you right now, I have the players pulled up. The
on
forwards
puckpedia.com.
On puckpedia.com, go forwards, go guys making between $3 and $3.5 million who signed as UFAs, and I'll rattle them off for the listeners. You got Vlad Sobotka, Michael Furland. I'll go wingers only. Brett Connolly, Cal Clutterbuck, Brandon Tanev, Paul Byron, Ryan Zingle, Michael Grabner, Zach Smith, Andrew Cogliano, Sam Gagner, Patrick Eves, Leo Komarov, and if you count Val Filppula, and then Antoine Roussel as well. Those are the guys who, as UFAs, signed for the range Zach Kassian's in.
Mm-hmm. And I'd rather have Kassian than any of those
Better
guys.
than
Which one would you
everybody
pick? Even if he's a third, like a
Sobotka,
lot of those guys, I wouldn't take Sobotka. He has 1 goal. In 6
Like, honestly, I thought Sobotka was in Europe. Didn't he go to Europe for
You're
a
thinking
bit?
of Berglund.
I thought Sobotka did too, but maybe not. Yeah.
But either way, like that list there, maybe you take Brett Connolly over Kassian. But like
No.
the bottom line is most of those guys are third liners.
Not at
And
that point.
Bad as that Clutterbuck.
You've got a guy. Yeah, no. I honestly think, like, was I wishing it'd be 2.95? Yeah, but 2.95 today is literally probably 3.2 tomorrow. Like it's to me, it's like a wash. Like the cap's gonna go up. You know, it's gonna how much of the cap that he absorbs in 2 years is gonna be is gonna go down. So if he the one thing this guy can do is he does have elite skill, like in the sense of he's a first round draft. He's got first round pedigree.
He's got speed.
He's got a motor, right? So yes, you lose steps with age, but like. He's got a lot of steps to lose before he's considered to be slow.
yeah.
The other thing too, like look at all those modified no trade clauses, modified no movement clauses. Like we didn't. The one thing Ken Holland got a lot of shit for when he left Detroit was handing out too many of those clauses to veteran players who were past their prime. Sure, 4 years maybe is a little too much, but at least like Jay said, like Jay said, the cap's going up by whatever 5%. It usually goes up for the escalator. So in 2 years, you can, like I said, expose them to Seattle, or it might be a movable contract.
Pay $700K and move them.
We really need a guy like that.
Yeah.
For right now, for the next, like, if we're saying that maybe he's only going to be effective for the next 2 years, well, we really need him. We really need him for those 2 years.
The way I look at him, I think he's almost like an insurance policy as well. We listed off the comparables. A lot of those guys are third liners, and if Zach Kassian's on your third line, you don't love paying a third liner $3.2 million. But this doesn't mean you don't go out and still try to find high-end skilled wingers to play with McDavid. It just, like, you could bring in a Tyler Toffoli or whoever, and he could not click with McDavid. To me, Kassian's a nice insurance policy, because even if he's on your third line, it's almost like break glass in case of emergency. Like, all right, things aren't working with McDavid and this guy, put Kassian up there for 5 games.
When does going out and spending $5-6 million on a free agent winger ever work for teams?
Exactly, because in free agency, you never get bargains. And that's the other thing with this Kassian deal. I believe he could have gone out on July 1 and gotten a 4x4. I think some team who got eliminated early in the playoffs and
Florida
was like,
or something.
Yeah, we need grit. And they would have gone out and paid him that. I think Kassian did take less money to stay here. And at the end of the day, it's signing a UFA. You don't get bargains when you sign unrestricted free agents. I don't know why people expected that.
And it's signing a guy, like I said, McDavid is obviously comfortable with. And that is the most important thing.
And you would have pushed for it. You have to think McDavid has a lot of sign off.
I would hope he has if not a rubber stamp, like close to final say in a lot of these things.
Ken's asking him, okay, we should sign him, yes. And he's probably talking to Zach and being like, hey man, like, don't ask for $4 million. Like, just don't, please. I'm Connor McDavid. He'll probably like, okay, cool. Yeah. North of 3? Is that cool? Yeah, okay. 3.2.
Can you imagine if it comes out that Connor McDavid actually negotiates all extensions on both sides? Like, he's going to the players being like, hey man, listen, I think you should get this. Like, let's build something here. Then he goes to Ken Holland and is like, all right, listen here. All right, I think I got Zach ready to sign for 3.2.
Perfect mediator.
I just think that I think that people are bitten by the Patrick Maroon bug recently, and I think people just believe that those kinds of wingers can grow on trees. And we had Patrick Maroon, and he was effective with McDavid, and so they think that they can just go and find that guy. But continuity, so important for Connor McDavid. We've been shipping out all of his friends.
That's just it.
Like, and poor Nuge, man. You want to talk about a guy who has not seen one lick of continuity.
That's the one thing, though, that you have to keep in mind here, too, is how does this affect now re-signing Nuge, re-signing Nurse? Like, does it make it that we now have to part with one of them?
No,
I don't think so at all. I mean, that's just something.
Not yet. And if we're parting with one, it better not be the goddamn Nuge.
Man,
this summer the Oilers are going to have, if the cap doesn't go up at all, $18.23 million.
I think it goes up in 2 seasons.
Puckpedia.com.
So, that's from puckpedia.com. And when you consider the fact they could trade Chris Russell potentially and lose some money there, maybe you trade Chase on and lose some money there as well. They got wiggle room still.
They seem to really like Chase on.
They do.
I think Tippett still likes Chase on. He still gives him time on the power play. You see him up there every once in a while when they need to sort of do the blender. So I think there might be some value there for the team. And again, it's continuity. Another, what is it, $2 million he's making for another season? Yeah, whatever.
He got greedy. We gave him too much money.
Well, yeah.
You know who doesn't get greedy? Sherwood Ford. That's who.
Wow,
that's a somewhat smooth transition.
Come on,
into our Sherwood Ford giant question.
So hold on, Tyler. Sorry, just as a reminder to everybody listening, if you see the Nation truck out on the streets of Edmonton and Edmonton area, please take a photo of them. Tag us at Oilers Nation HQ. That's our Instagram handle currently as well. For now, and also tag Sherwood Ford. That's Sherwood Ford on Twitter and at Sherwood Ford _the Giant on Instagram, and you could be entered to win a $100 gas card from our friends at Sherwood Ford. Now to the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the day.
You're looking at the standings right now, boys. They're on the screen in front of you. Vancouver, then Calgary, then Edmonton, then Arizona, then Vegas. Out of those 5 teams, which one is most primed for a poor second half, a poor finish to the year?
Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall.
Take it away.
The poison dart that is Taylor Hall is currently on the Arizona Coyotes, and until they have a trade deadline deal to get rid of Taylor Hall, I think you're going to see them continue to fall out of the playoff race and find themselves too far out to catch up.
Jay?
Well, yeah, like they traded a lot for an anchor, and he's doing exactly what I was hoping he would do, and that would sink the next team he was on. And we're seeing that now, and I'm hoping that continues. So I would vote Arizona. The other one that's interesting is like Nashville is having a tough time trying to get their shit together too.
We're talking Pacific, though.
I know, only though, but yeah, Nashville is.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Like, the
games in hand though. If they win, if Nashville wins their games in hand, they're taking out Vegas and Arizona in that swing. So, Zach, who's your take? Pacific Division team.
I'm gonna go with Vancouver, and I'm gonna say Vancouver for one reason. They have been so goddamn good at home. They've played like 25 of like they've played I can't remember what the number is. I heard it on the radio.
They're 17-5-3 on home ice.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
And it's ridiculous how much they've played at home this year. They're going to be playing more on the road. They're going to be playing more away. I don't think they have the depth. I don't think they have the ability as a young team right now to keep up the pace that they have. I think they slide out. Maybe not slide out, but slide back to wild card at least.
I like the numbers love them, right, Nick? The numbers tend to love the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Quinn Hughes is...
Yeah, in terms of PDO, where are they? They're 11th. So their PDO is like pretty, like this isn't complete luck. But again, I look at that roster. I don't necessarily trust it, but they're not my answer. My answer is going to be the Calgary Flames. I think they're really going to have trouble scoring goals, man. I think that's something that could hurt them. And if Big Save Dave and Cam Talbot start to flop, like they've been getting some great goaltending from Cam Talbot as of late.
And they're running a negative goal differential.
Yeah, they're minus 12 and they're second in the division. Look at the games in hand. If Edmonton wins one of their 2 games in hand, Edmonton's going to pass them. They could very quickly find themselves down in a wild card spot, in which case I like Nashville to pass them. So I don't like the scoring depth on Calgary. I think their blue line has gotten a little bit slow with guys like Giordano, and I don't know if I trust their goaltending. So my pick's Calgary. Nick?
Yeah, I was going to say Calgary. There's something about they went on that heater. Don't forget, like they're where they are because they're 8-0 after Jeff Ward became coach. So, and then they went on a bit of a slide. Now they're doing a little bit better again.
7-2-1 in their last 10.
Yeah. So, there's just something about the team that it just doesn't. I felt the same way about them last year, even when they won the Western Conference. There's just nothing about their team that's intimidating. Gaudreau's having a pretty bad season. Monahan is what he is. Sam Bennett is what he is in the worst way possible for them.
Damning.
But their goaltending is. Rittich played really well against us, but is it sustainable? And we all know what happens with Talbot sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to go. I hate to say it, Dan. I'm going to go back to the Arizona thing. Pulling up the heat map. When Arizona has Taylor Hall on the ice, their threat is plus 23.
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing on the ice.
But their character is minus 5 million.
He's amazing on the ice. Their starting goaltender's coming back. Kemper's coming back from injury. I think Arizona's going to win the division, actually.
My pick to win the division is actually Vegas. I think
you think they're going to turn it around?
I think Fleury can get hot.
He's been bad, though. He's been not good this year.
I know, but
and Malcolm Subban is not...
Fleury's had some personal stuff, though.
Sure.
I think if he puts that, or if he gets going... I almost like Vegas still.
Oilers, baby.
Yeah, I'm with Jay. We're winning the division.
I hope so.
If you win the game in hand, you're only 2 points back.
But if Arizona wins the division and then we finish second and Calgary finishes third, even though Tyler and I think they're going to finish, so never mind. Let's say Arizona first, Edmonton second, Vegas third, and we get a Vegas Oilers first round.
Ooh. We're fine. We're all good. Jay is departing.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Jay.
See you, Jay.
Allow me to corrupt the show.
Back into your turtle costume now. So I don't know. I like a Vegas Edmonton series. I think we'd have a lot of fun with that.
There's something wrong with Vegas this year too. Like there's something that is not quite right with where they've been.
I don't trust him.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious
it's
yeah.
The Pacific Division is upside down.
Yeah. They just brought in their
completely
coach.
upside down.
They brought in the
whole
coach that beat them last year.
The whole Gallant thing was just so weird to me.
Yeah,
so weird.
Yeah, it's a weird looking organization. It's nice to see. Now, I have a soft spot for Vegas. I think everybody knows that I did cheer for them in the playoffs 2 years ago.
Did you?
I was wearing a hat. Jay got really mad about it. It was a whole.
You were cheering against Alex Ovechkin winning his first Stanley Cup.
I was cheering for that story, man. Like having an expansion team come in, dominate the
no way, man.
Dominate the Western Conference. They got it that we've never seen. We haven't seen you haven't seen anybody dominate the Western Conference like Vegas did that year. It hasn't happened since like the Red Wings.
I was going to say the Red Wings in 2002
in the 2000 early 2000s. So it's been a long time.
Well, 96 is when they set the record, right? So
it's an exciting team to watch. But yeah, it's fun to see them see a little bit of controversy and a little bit of confusion right now.
Obviously, this is to keep in mind too. This is all before the deadline. These teams could change their complexion. Tyler's losing his shit over something.
It's just internet shit.
Oh, okay.
I'm not paying attention to the podcast anymore.
Vegas's blue line is what's kind of holding them back a little bit. They don't have a ton of depth there, so maybe if they do make a trade at the deadline for some sort of veteran defenseman or somebody who can step into more of a top four role for them, it might help them turn things around. But yeah, there's just something that feels off about them this year.
So speaking of call-ups and transitions, and God, I don't know.
You're not bagged milk with your topic transitions.
I just fucking do it. We're just going for it.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
William Lageson called up, kind of. They're en route. They may be arriving in Edmonton soon.
They're supposed to arrive this afternoon. They're not playing tonight against St. Louis. I doubt Lageson plays at all while he's up here, but I bet you Benson's in the lineup for the BoA.
I fucking hate that.
Why?
I hate calling up a guy and then not playing him.
No, I think in Lageson's case, he spent a lot of time in the minors, and I honestly think there might have been a scenario at the beginning of the year where they kind of said, "Hey, man, would you rather play in the AHL, or do you want some chances to make NHL money?"
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I forget about that side of things, that you get to collect an NHL paycheck.
Like, there's a guy, like, Buddy knows him somehow, and he got called up for like 3 weeks from the AHL to the NHL. You go from like your salary being $80,000 to being $800,000 already. That's a huge difference.
That's fair. I guess I think the most important thing from this call up, though, is that nobody had seen Benson calling up at all. Not one person had called for Benson to get called up.
No, not on this podcast.
This is the first time
this podcast
has ever happened.
I've never heard anybody mention it.
No. One person just threw their cell phone at the wall that's listening to this right now from sunny Puerto Vallarta, Cuba. And
he's in Mexico.
I know. Yes. So just a quick shout out to Skip the Dishes for sponsoring this podcast. They've been a sponsor for forever. Get in contact with Arby's, though. Baggedmilk has forced me to say that. He likes the meats. He guts the meats.
And if you're on Skip the Dishes, check out Oodle Noodle as well.
Yep. And Yegburger, sponsor of Tyler's hit pregame podcast, the best pregame podcast of Oilers genre ever.
Thank you. I think I'm the only one who's done something like that every game
also
podcast.
My point. That's the joke.
When it comes to Benson, where would you like to see him for his first game? Top line with McDavid? To me, that's a fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Put him on the third line with Sheahan and Archibald, two responsible NHLers. Let him play with some speed. Give him 12 to 13 minutes and fucking relax, everyone.
I will say I fucking love that Draisaitl, Nuge, and Yamfry are put together right now. And so I just think that McDavid gets to pick who his line mates are, not necessarily just trying a kid up there. But that's that. Like, to me, it's like, until McDavid says that he wants Tyler Benson on his line, don't force him up there, Zach.
See, I think down the road we see Tyler Benson with Connor McDavid, but I don't know if it's the right move right away. And I don't know if going with Sheahan and Archibald are exactly right either. Like, I'd like to see Benson's an offensive guy. He's a passer, right? Like, I'd like to see him with somebody who can, I don't know, put the puck in the net. But at the same breath, we don't really have a lot of that in the bottom six, right? So
that's true.
It's kind of hard. I guess now that I think about it a little more, Shan and Archibald is the worst line he could play on.
Well,
Nick,
correct me if I'm wrong. Benson isn't known for his speed, right? He's not
well.
a fast player. So, but then again, I guess you have Neil playing up there with McDavid anyway, right? So
Tyler Benson feel like Sam Gagner to you? Like a Sam Gagner light?
Sure. I guess. Nah, I don't know. Gagner has, I'll be honest, like, I've watched less than 10 minutes of Tyler Benson playing in the AHL.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen of Gagner, like, Gagner just has like that veteran sort of wiliness to him. Yeah. Where I don't know if Benson has that yet. Like, Gagner just has a really good way of getting to open spots, getting in front of the net. He's still, I don't know, I don't think I have it open here, but he's always at the top of our team as far as like underlying numbers go. Like, his expected goals is really high. Going into the second period against the Flames, his expected goal percentage was 100, and he almost scored like a minute in with that between the legs shot.
That was
sick.
That was insane.
So like Gagner brings, I mean, everyone knows I'm a huge Gagner advocate, but I don't know if Benson plays that game quite yet. But I agree with Tyler. Don't throw him to the wolves to start. Let him get comfortable playing at the NHL level. He hasn't played an NHL game yet, right?
No, this is going to be his debut whenever he gets in.
So yeah, give him some time. Like you said, Shan's a really comfortable guy to get, and he has skill too. It's not like you're saddling him on like a dead weight line. So
yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. But
Gagne's isolated impact is insane this year.
Yeah,
he's plus 30 on offense.
Yeah.
I will say
minus 6 on defense.
I fucking loved his game against the Flames.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you'd like. Dusty's talked about a few times now this week, but it's exactly what you'd like to see from Jujhar Khaira, which is crazy to say.
We had a
that
really
Sam
good game
Gagner-
against Calgary.
I didn't mind it. Yeah, I thought he was all right. We talked last week about bottom 6 extensions, and I know we need to quickly get into hot and cold performers here, but if the Oilers announced 1 year $800K for Gagne, are you okay with him being like the 14th forward next year?
Oh, yeah.
But right? I feel like Kassian's number has now kind of slotted him down further.
Yeah, maybe, but for $800K, I think like even having him just around the organization, like fan favorite, I think that's a way to kind of win some people over. And at the end of the day, who else would you want being? Coach. Who else do you sort of that kind of way though, right? Like he's your 14th forward. You go, hey Sam, no other team's going to give you an NHL shot. You can play your 25, 30 games a year with us, be somewhere you like to be, all that good stuff.
It's exactly what they should have done with Matt Hendricks a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding. That probably is exactly what they should have done. And maybe the organization, I know it's a different regime, will learn from their mistake a little bit. Dan, time for hot and cold performers.
Oh, you know it.
Let me get my buttons ready.
Okay, so this is sponsored currently by our friends at Oodle Noodle. We've gotten a couple shout-outs this podcast.
There's one on my way home from work now. I love it.
Now, did you move your home or your work?
I just noticed there's a Noodle there. It's one of the newer ones. It's like North Edmonton on St. Albert Trail.
Gotcha. Brand new location. It's exciting. So, it is the hot and cold performers of the week. For those of you that are just tuning in for your first ever podcast, welcome to episode 72. You have a bit of a back catalog to catch up on. Good luck with that. We do a little thing where we talk about the hottest performer of the week and the coldest performer of the week. Tyler, why don't you start us off with the coldest performer of the week for you?
Oh, I'm going to start with the cold performer. You know what? And we're going off the Calgary game only, right? Because that's kind of all we have here. Darnell Nurse. I thought he made some good defensive plays, but there were two moments that drove me absolutely nuts. The Oilers win a faceoff clean in their own end. He takes it, looks up, immediately fires it off the ice, off the glass, and out. His lack of ability to just like stop and make a tape-to-tape pass really drove me nuts in that game against Calgary. And since that's the only one we have to base this week off of, I'm going with Darnell Nurse as my cold performer. I didn't love his game against the Flames.
It's pretty shocking to see his lack of poise compared to his rookie defenseman's abundance of it. Like you'd almost think that the way the two of them react when they get the puck on their stick would be inverted. It's not a good sign, man.
Watching that game against Calgary, I know it's a 1-game sample size and all that, but it made me nervous about paying that guy $6.2 million because he really struggles passing the puck. He transports it fine. He'll get a head of steam going, skate through the neutral zone and be all good. I love him in the defensive zone. Once they're in the offensive zone, he's all right. But it's just making that first pass, which is so important for defensemen nowadays. He struggles with it, and it was on display against Calgary. And not that it was a difference maker or anything, but I thought he should have been better. Sorry.
Oh, that's cold.
Darnell Nurse, cold performer of the week.
Who's up next?
Zach Laing.
I'm going to go with Chris Russell since, again, we only have one game to base this off of. He had a horrible misplay on the Flames' third goal of the game, which eventually ended up being a near deal breaker for the Oilers. I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, trying to chase his defenseman into the corner when his defensive pairing already had a guy matched up. Chris Russell, cold performer of the week. Nick.
The goalposts. I think the Oilers played a really good game. We should have won that game. I don't want to kind of single anyone else out because I think Russell and Nurse are good choices. I'm going to, give it to the goalposts.
Fuck the posts. My cold performer of the week is, as always, a prospect of sorts. My cold performer of the week, I just had him and now I'm not looking at it. I'm sorry. It's Brandon Manning. Fuck Brandon Manning.
We did that last week as well, but
he still is because he's only got 4 points in his 10 games in the AHL.
And he was suspended for using racial slurs.
Yep. Trash. Hot performers of the week. Zach, your hot performer of the week.
Kyler Yamamoto.
Yeah, R.I.P. Kyler Mimamoto.
Peace. Yamamoto, a beautiful goal against the Flames. He has got 6 points in 9 games, which is very, very nice.
Nice.
This is hot.
Nick Good. Your hot performer of the week.
You know what? Let's give it to Tyler Benson for finally getting called up.
Why not, eh?
You know what? I'll leave it at that because we'll let Rick have his.
I never heard of him.
We'll give him his 5-minute rant next week. So I'll just leave it at Tyler Benson.
That was hot.
Good luck, kid. Welcome to the NHL.
My hot performer of the week. I'm going to save you for the end, Tyler.
Nice.
My hot performer of the week, and I'm going to take full credit for this because I'm sure he's a friend of the show. I called them out en masse last week. It was all of our goaltenders in the prospect system. Stuart Skinner, who through 4 games has 3 wins. And he had a really good week after a piss poor performance.
That's really hot.
We'll fix it in
We'll fix it in post. My hot performer of the week, boys. You only got one game to base it off of. How good did it feel watching Matt Benning score that goal? I mean,
tremendous.
Just the concussion issues, playing one game in the last 2 months. You know it probably wore on him. It's like, you always hear players say it's a tough emotional thing to go through being hurt, especially when it's a concussion thing and like your body feels fine, but you need to sit out that amount of time. So it was just great to see him score that goal. For a second, he must have just blacked out and felt like Connor McDavid pulling off a toe drag, cutting to the middle, and tying the Battle of Alberta up with 7 minutes to go. That game probably doesn't go to overtime without Matt Benning. I liked what I saw from him in his first game back. I've always been one to say that I feel like he's an extra piece and is maybe expendable if you want to trade him for a forward, but that's not a knock on him because I think he's going to have a long NHL career. I like Matt Benning. I liked his game against Calgary.
Go out hooking.
He's my hot performer. Shout out to Baggedmilk.
I'm going to selfishly, I call you guys out for it when you guys do it, and I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to give myself another hot performer of the week, and it's Zach Kassian for pounding the fuck out of Matthew Tkachuk's face.
And he took it easy, though, because when Tkachuk was on his knees there, Kassian could have just kept fucking giving it to him.
And I know Flames fans pretend to not know what the code is, but Matthew Tkachuk didn't. Neither Matthew Tkachuk or Zach Kassian really operated underneath the code there at the end. Kassian was pumping his face when he was down on the ice, and then Tkachuk tried to get up and started punching Zach Kassian while he was down on the ice. So whatever, but I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. Zach Kassian against Zach Ronaldo, calling it right now. That's happening, and I bet you Kassian beats the shit out of him too.
He wanted next. Quickly before we end the podcast, 2 games, St. Louis, Calgary, back-to-backs. How many points for the Oilers?
4. I said it first.
I'm going to say 4. I think they lose tonight, and then they win on the second game.
Zach's first game at Rogers Place. They're not losing.
They are not fucking losing.
First Oilers game ever at Rogers Place?
First game ever.
Next week,
Oilers game ever.
Next week, we'll have a full breakdown of the atmosphere from a Rogers Place virgin. In
That's
Zach
Quick
Laing.
question, though, before we go. What do I need to know about going to hockey games at Rogers Place?
Have you taken a mortgage out on the place you're currently staying at?
No.
Okay, do that first. Get yourself a Bobby Nix burger. That'll have half the mortgage gone.
The Yeg nachos are actually good.
The nachos are good.
They do them really
I had them last game, and I was kind of surprised.
I'm a big nachos guy.
Pieces of pulled pork, some nice sauces.
queso.
Yeah,
Sit
it's
back.
really
Daddy
good.
likes.
Sit back in your fucking seat.
Oh yeah, sit back in your seat.
Come on, Edmonton. We're better than
Look
that.
for Hunter.
Okay.
There's Canadian, there's Coors, but once in a while you'll stumble across a concession that has like Granville Island and stuff. There's some IPAs
Do
in
they
there
have
as well.
crack beers there?
Some of
Which
the
is
concessions they do, yeah.
Crack beers or craft beers?
Crack.
Oh, there's still crack beers.
Yeah,
I need the crack beer.
They actually brought the hoses over from
they brought them.
Rexall. Did you know that?
I'm a small guy and it does not take a lot to get me drunk, but I am pinned after a period.
Beautiful.
Yep. So there you go. There's some tips. If you guys have any more tips for Zach, feel free to tag us on social media at Oilers Nation Radio.
At ON Radio Podcast.
ON Radio Podcast. I made the account and I still don't remember what the username is.
Good job.
Please subscribe to this on iTunes. What do they call it now, Nick?
Apple Podcasts.
There you go. Please subscribe to us on that.
One
Google
day maybe
Play.
we'll read some reviews.
Yeah, we'll definitely read some reviews. I don't think we want to read after last week's, but I think this week went really well.
Yeah, I think this week went really well. This was a great podcast. Hour of Oilers and Nerd Talk. I love it.
Beautiful.
We are our own hot performers of the week.
Thanks again to Sherwood Ford and Skip the Dishes. As always, please check our friendly sponsors out. Tell them that we sent you. And as always, shout out Damien.
Best wishes.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.